Welcome to Into the Storm Leaders, the no BS podcast that ignites leadership potential and sparks innovation in the ever-evolving business landscape we all work in. Join us as we uncover inspiring stories and thought-provoking insights from proven leaders and share practical takeaways that enable courageous leadership. Get ready to charge into the storm and become a catalyst for better workplace culture.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the It's Leaders podcast. I'm Ron Kaminsky with Culture Shock. We've got Grant Menard of Lazorpoint. Welcome, Grant.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks for coming. So, a little bit about why the podcast. This is a special podcast because Lazorpoint is a strategic partner of the Herd at Culture Shock. And so, the Herd for us is any company we've done business with, any company we've had conversations with, you're in the herd, whether you like it or not. And the whole idea here is how can we surround these organizations with an ecosystem of like-minded people, companies, resources that can help them get where they want to go faster. And that's where Lazorpoint came into play. So thank you for being a strategic partner of the Herd and for totally embracing our core value of help first.
Well, thank you for having us, and I think I speak for the broader Lazorpoint team saying that Culture Shock and the Herd has been instrumental not just to our success in the last year, but really EOS journey that Lazorpoint's been on over the last 20. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but start with a little bit about Lazorpoint.
Yeah, let's do it. So give me the elevator pitch. Who's Lazorpoint?
Lazorpoint is an IT service provider that has been servicing business leaders of Northeast Ohio for the last 27 years. We predominantly focus on working with SMB and middle market decision makers who are desperately seeking a firm to own their information systems and their technology. And so I think in the world of IT and technology, there's a lot of jargon, phrases that are thrown around, but let's break it down of what does it mean to be an IT service provider. And that may look a little bit different for each business, right? We might be your dedicated IT team that looks and feels like an internal IT team solving your day-to-day problems, help setting budget and roadmap and the strategy. Or it could look a little different where you do have a really strong internal team, maybe person, manager, systems administrator, and we surround them with the right resources to supplement and complement what the internal team is doing day to day so that we can help push those business drivers.
Love it. And by the way, every team that's ever been in our session room, IT has come up on that issues list at some point or another. So another reason why we felt we needed Lazorpoint as a strategic partner. So let's stick on who Lazorpoint is. You guys have 4 core values. Mm-hmm. First of all, please share with us what those are. Mm-hmm. And 2, how do you guys use them? Because there's companies out there that have these core values, and they're just pretty words on a wall with some wordsmith jargon after them. So let's dig in there first. Give me the first core value.
Commitment to mission, team, and your promise.
What does that mean inside the 4 walls of Lazorpoint from that perspective?
In its simplest form, it's do what you say you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, and keep in mind that we are a team. We take this team's approach. It's okay to raise your hand and ask for help, but with every interaction internally with our clients, with third-party vendors, it's being aware of our broader mission and sticking to that.
Love that. So let's go on to number 2. Core value.
Get better. And this one sounds simple, but in our world where technology is constantly shifting, it's changing, there's new requirements, certifications, emerging technologies, it's imperative that we as a firm are continuing to educate ourselves either through coursework, certifications, process improvements. So it's being experts in what we do on a day-to-day basis today, but knowing that tomorrow might look really different. And how are we stacking our engineers, our delivery team to solve tomorrow's problems? And we do that by getting better, each day.
I can't imagine the pace of change that you guys deal with. And without a core value like that, I just don't see it possible to keep up.
It's been a pretty dramatic shift over the last 6 years with how IT has now become really the center of every business, every organization. 10, 15 years ago, IT technology might have been a necessary evil. Yeah, you need to use email. You need to host your services, get a hold of your customers. All of that requires technology. But what we've seen emerge over the last 5 years is now it becoming a core function of the business. And those that are making the right investments, utilizing it the right way, we're seeing it as a strategic advantage for those clients in the marketplace.
Love it. So commitment to your team, mission, and your promise. Get better. What's number 3?
Passion to serve. Be excited to come to work every day. Be open and honest with your clients, with your team members. Have that joy and that sense of purpose that we get to be a partner, that clients had made the decision to leverage Lazorpoint as their IT partner rather than, utilizing other IT providers, internal IT. We take that seriously. So let's have a passion around what we do.
It's clear you guys do. That passion piece, I got to imagine, doesn't come easy every day with some of the firefights you guys have to grind through. But it is incredibly obvious that you guys wear that authentically on your sleeve. So what's number 4?
Number 4 is take ownership. So in our world, ownership, put simply, is own IT, own technology when it matters most for our clients, either on their best days or oftentimes their worst days, or, an issue comes up. How are we solving that IT problem so that the client can get back to their day-to-day and performing their core job functions? And so taking a proactive approach to ownership rather than looking at our services as reactionary, support when problems come up. What are the things that we can be doing proactively, weekly, monthly, so that oftentimes we don't run into those, firefights, and it's a way to get in front of the problem.
Yeah, and that, if I remember correctly, own IT when IT matters is actually part of your core focus and what you guys feel that you guys can do better than anyone. Is that right?
Spot on.
So let's dig into that for one more minute. Own IT when IT matters. I'm a marketing agency, or obviously I could see where that comes into play if I'm a hospital system or mission critical information, but what is own IT when IT matters? Give me some examples there.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little bit of what we discussed. We've seen this shift 10, 15 years ago. IT was largely a cost center, necessary evil. But now every business is required to implement any sort of strategies in their own base, in their own market. And so what does it mean for IT to matter most, or to own IT when IT matters most? For a marketing company, for example, let's say they are working to roll out a new digital marketing strategy, maybe leveraging AI within their business and their customers to deliver, their own customers' messages better in the digital world. It's helping them walk through that strategy and not just saying, yep, go buy Otter and implement Otter or go buy Microsoft Copilot, and that's going to solve all your problems. But first starting with their business goals or the business problems that they're trying to solve for, then looking at the risk or reward of that business, of solving for that business goal. And then final piece, kind of aligning the strategy with the business goal rather than making an outcome just purchasing based on, a tool or a function.
Sure. So we talked a little bit about Lazorpoint, who you guys are at your core. I want to talk about Grant. So head of growth, you came here from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Why Lazorpoint?
It's a great question. Yep. Started at Lazorpoint just over 2 years ago. Got connected to Lazorpoint by way of a business mentor of mine, someone who I worked very closely with in Chicago. And he kept putting a bug in my ear saying, hey, I've been working with this group out in Cleveland. You should talk with their founder, their CEO, Dave Lazer and Matt Kraska. After a few conversations with my mentor, got connected, and it became evident early on in the process that my core values and what I was hoping to achieve in my professional career and in my personal life aligned with how they lead. And that was really, really exciting to me to have talk to business leaders, talk to a business owner that valued where my core alignment was coming from, and see right away in the process that, yeah, we're on the same page and this seems exciting to explore. And I'd love to get into a little bit about how, EOS has meant for me in my vantage point. That's all right.
Sure. Yeah, you guys are an EOS run business. So yeah, please. What was attractive? Yeah, dig in.
Yeah. So I as I mentioned, getting connected to Lazorpoint by way of a mentor of mine, early alignment to core values. I think something that's really unique about Lazorpoint is a lot of our, not just leadership team has been working together for 20 plus years, but our senior engineers, our solution architects, our account managers, our admin team have all been working together for 5, 10, 15 years. And so here's this new guy on the block coming in from Chicago to help set the strategy and help drive growth and client experience. Who am I to come in and kind of shake things up? And that was my fear, right? Is this is such a tight-knit group that have gone through years and years of trials and tribulations, successes, failures. How do I get acclimated to that? And not only acclimated, but how can I be a catalyst for that? And so by way of Lazorpoint being an EOS run business, I think it started, 20 years ago with Dave Lazer, our founder, in a Lakewood apartment. And he rolled out EOS for his team of 3. You probably know a bit of the history, a bit more than me. And now fast forward 25 years, because we are an EOS company, because there's transparency across the organization, it's crystal clear from the leadership down to our interns what the quarterly rocks are, what our annual goals are, where accountability falls. And that allowed me to plug in seamlessly and to get up to speed very quickly because there was that transparency, because there was that visibility, but also you see the consistency week after week through weekly L10 pulse meetings. You see it through quarterly TUM meetings or planning sessions. And by that consistent improvement quarter after quarter, you felt like you could slide right in and be a part of those improvements rather than, driving a whole new set of strategy.
Sure. That's, you touched on something that really resonated. Your mentor connected you with Lazorpoint. And I found that real mentors and leaders in our lives that have made a difference, they're always kind of eyes wide open for opportunities for those they care about and are developing. So that's a pretty cool story how you came to be. So I want to transition a little bit to the Lazorpoint approach. Often we can view IT as this black box. It's this unknown thing. You kind of notice it when it's not working. It's hopefully, it is, but why is it a black box? Why is it this big, scary, unknown thing?
Well, if I figure it out, I'll let you know. But I can maybe share some of the reasoning. I think, one, yes, technology can be complex. There can be nuances that are tough to understand from a day-to-day management perspective. But I think it's the velocity at which themes, topics are being brought to businesses, changes are occurring, and this disruption we're seeing. Maybe it was remote workforce coming through the COVID era, and then the workforce shifts to maybe more a hybrid in-office remote workforce. How do you handle that? What does that mean? And you have this wave of cybersecurity, not just concerns, but real risk and threats that have occurred from,
it feels like wave after wave.
Wave after wave. And then you have business process automation or digital transformation. And now, of course, AI. So it constantly feels like as soon as you feel like you're proficient or caught up in one area, there's something else that you need to be looking at. So I think that's one of the reasons why. And two, IT can be scary, and it might not have the same level of ownership or priority in the business as your financial reporting, your HR functions, your marketing strategy. So it sometimes is regarded as this kind of the redheaded stepchild of back office functions. And so it might not get the ownership it requires from the beginning. And let's say the organizations that do have internal IT, especially in the space of SMB and middle market, typically those are teams of one to three, 1 to 5 people, and decisions might be made just within that group. Senior leadership might not be asking internal IT the right questions and therefore not getting the right information back up to the leadership team, or vice versa. Maybe internal IT isn't in the know on the business goals and strategies that the company is setting as intimate as they should be. And so therefore they might be making decisions in silos that don't align to those strategies. So I think it's a culmination. And as a result, you have people who might make purchases on their own. You get misalignment from the tools that you use. I mean, I think we've all been guilty of it, where you hear from a business vendor, consultant, just a friend down the road, of this really cool technology that they've leveraged to transcribe phone calls. So it's like, oh yeah, let's download that. It's on your phone, and now it's, recording all of your calls, and that presents a whole other set of risk or possibly compliance violations. So black box is often something that we work really, really hard to address, not put our head in the sand and make it feel like these problems don't occur, but what can we do? What tool strategies can we help implement so it doesn't feel like it needs to be this big, scary function of the business?
So you guys are kind of calling for a paradigm shift around how companies view IT. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, paradigm shift, the next generation approach, next gen approach. Again, talking through the history that we've seen and really looking back for the last 5 years, businesses have felt, okay, we know that there is risk by not doing something, either from a cybersecurity, maybe from a digital transformation, possibly with AI for those that have started down that journey. And the old way of thinking is that, okay, in order to de-risk or solve this problem, let's go buy this tool. Let's go implement this product or solution to solve the problem. And so what we found through that is a number of those tools, solutions may be underutilized. The investment may be much more significant than what was initially calculated. You get people may not properly be using those tooling or solutions. And again, you see those one-off people might be going rogue and changing course, buying a different product or solution. So the shift that we're really focused on and help leading our clients through is instead of, thinking of IT and technology as a tool or a tool as the strategy, we look at the business problem or business benefit. What are we trying to solve for? And then we align the strategy to that business problem. For example, and what I mean by that is, let's stay on the topic of AI. CEO comes back from a conference. Their competitors are talking about how they're using AI. They're talking about how they are using Microsoft Copilot to transcribe interview sessions, meetings with clients, how that then integrates with email recaps, and it's making their life so much better. CEO then goes back to his internal team and says, hey, competitor has Copilot.
You mean a visionary's bringing back ideas that we should implement next week?
Exactly.
Never heard anything of the sort.
Exactly. Never. As the integrator is sitting there wanting to pull his head out. But CEO is CEO. So they say, in this scenario, strategy is implement AI. The action then, the team goes out, looks at a couple different products, might listen to a couple different demos. Ultimately, they understand the cost on Copilot. They go implement Microsoft Copilot. That's the old way. The new way is, all right, CEO comes back from that same conference. He or she's excited about implementing AI. And immediately there, if we're leading our clients and giving them the confidence they should in those discussions, it's, okay, CEO, what are we solving for by implementing AI? Oh, well, I want the time required after a meeting to transcribe those meeting notes and send it out to the clients to be reduced by 10x. Okay, so that's a real business problem that you're solving for. If your team is spending 30 minutes after every meeting, writing down their notes, sending them out to the client, maybe follow-up tasks, that's something we can solve for. And then you measure the risk reward. Okay, by having a AI agent transcribe meetings, we can solve 15 minutes for every team member across 10 meetings a day. That's a lot of time saved, 2.5 hours in that math equation I just made up. But okay, what would you get? What is the value of 2.5 hours back in your week? And so then the final step is, hey, not just go and roll out or buy Microsoft Copilot, but okay, in order to really do this right, CEO, we need our IT manager, our head of client experience, and finance all be aligned on this decision-making process to evaluate what is the right approach and what is the right problem to solve for. So the strategy or go forward there would be organize this task force to go figure out what is the best path rather than just jumping on, the tool.
So there's two things that you said that absolutely resonate with me. The first one is this concept of tools aren't the strategy. I can't tell you how many companies have said, we need to do a better job of leveraging our CRM, right? And we need a new CRM, actually. And, well, we can put in a new CRM, but it's the behaviors of the leverage of that actual tool that where all the ROI is coming from, right? And so that to me is like, we're on the same song, not in and on the same page. one of the things I'll ask in the session is, are you competing, like is one of your differentiators, your three uniques, technology? And if it is, well, how are you organized? And then I don't see an IT seat on the senior leadership team. It's kind of tucked into a finance function, sometimes an operations function. And maybe that's the right structure. But my grandfather would always say, don't tell me what you value, show me your budget, and I'll tell you what you value.
Yep.
I feel like sometimes we've got a disconnect there in organizations. I don't know if you guys run into that.
You make a great point. And I can't speak for every organization, and it's different, the type of business, team, function you run. But our three uniques at Lazorpoint, again, being an IT service provider to manufacturers, professional service organizations, and private equity in Northeast Ohio for the last 20 years, our three uniques, our brand promise and our three uniques don't mention anything to do with technology. Our three uniques are confidence, capabilities, comprehensive capabilities, and then leadership. When you partner with Lazorpoint, or when you're looking at your IT function of the business, you should be confident that where you're investing, you know what the current spend is, you know what the right future state looks like, and that you're making investments to achieve that future state. You have a team or you have a partner around you that has comprehensive capabilities to not just handle day-to-day support problems, infrastructure, cloud, cybersecurity, but is also staying one step ahead of the market. Again, going back to that get better, the continuous education, so that problems of tomorrow are already being addressed by the capabilities of the team today. And then leadership, that when working with Lazorpoint or your IT function, there's the right leadership in place, that they're going to bring in the right people, they're going to communicate what needs to be communicated, and that the decisions that are being made are being led, not reacted to.
So true. I watched that come to life in a lot of sessions. So it wouldn't be an It's Leaders podcast if we didn't talk about storms that you guys, you yourself or your company has had to charge into. So any stories or just insights to share around this concept of storms and just turning and facing those?
Yeah, that's probably have a lot to speak to there. I think, let me take a step back. In my role, oftentimes I'm getting calls from business leaders on their worst days. I get a lot of calls from business leaders when they're having their worst day, worst problem, production is down, power outage just hit the plant, and now production stopped, and we have this critical deadline and delivery that we need to execute. Or, hey, I'm preparing for this board presentation tomorrow. All of a sudden, I can't access my files. I can't communicate to the team. What do we do? So when we think of the concept of charging into the storm, a lot of our everyday is kind of living in the storm, and not from a reactionary standpoint, but they know that, again, hey, if I call Lazorpoint, and if they're owning IT when IT matters most, they're going to be able to get the job done. So we get a lot of calls, and our message is always, communication is key early and often. Don't try and fix it necessarily yourself. Hey, power is out or internet goes down, and the first thing you want to do, we're all guilty of it, is unplug and plug back in the router.
We don't know anything about that, do we, Liz?
But giving us the call, even when you're fired up, you're frustrated,
sure,
or worse, you have absolutely no idea what is going on or what's causing this. And this, at the end of the day, we work with technology. A lot of it's man-made. Things break. That's why we're in the business that we are, is because issues do come up. But when you get that call, what is the course of action to give clients peace of mind and to get them back on track. And so to answer your question, it's a steady state of, living in the storm. But again, that's when we do our best work, and that's why our clients partner with us.
Yeah, fire tested. So I'm a company right now that's got some issues, and I know IT is kind of at the center of those. What's the next step if I want to reach out and ask for some help?
Well, one, I'll make sure I share my information after, but
yeah, we'll put all that in the notes, right? So
yep, put that in the notes, but maybe reframing that ask or that question and in the concept of help first, there are some tactical steps that you can take. I think it's first and foremost, your business having these challenges, it's ask yourself, an honest evaluation today, is IT viewed as a utility? Are we constantly reacting and reactive problem solving? Are we just focused on uptime or tickets? Have we prioritized the tool as the strategy? And does IT react to business decisions? If all that's a yes, then, yes, I think you need help, because again, that's the old way, the old approach versus focusing as IT as a business function and how IT shapes those business decisions, not the other way around. So I would ask yourself that. Now, where to start if, okay, yep, I've done that honest evaluation. I see where the gaps are and I need to make that shift. I think it's get alignment, get the right team on board to solve the business problem you're having, not to solve the IT issue or the product issue that you're having. Early and often, get alignment to the right team, and then look at your current, roadmap, budget, and see where there is wiggle room. Have you over invested in products versus the right services to solve? Does your internal IT team have the right people, processes around them to support the business? And then I think the third step is where we can help with is analyzing and understanding what is the risk reward of investing in IT the right way as a strategic advantage, rather than, again, a black box cost center. So
you guys, I think you guys refer to this as a think session. That's your help first offer back to the herd.
Yep.
Am I correct?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I love that, because one of the things we value in the EOS operating system is the clarity break. And for the most part, clarity breaks are a one-off thing or are an individual thing I'm doing with myself just to find some clarity on an issue, a topic, an objective, etc. But sometimes we need some help in those clarity breaks. So that's something that you guys are offering back to the herd is just a think session with those key people.
Spot on. Yep. And we'll there's a set of questions that I can share out that help prepare for what you're going to get out of that think session. But what you described is exactly where we can help.
Yeah, I will say this. We are really lucky to have Lazorpoint in our corner for the herd. We work with a lot of amazing companies, and some of them even IT providers just like Lazorpoint. Like you mentioned, been around the block with Lazorpoint now for a couple decades, and it's been an absolute joy to watch the journey the organization's been on. And now under the leadership of Matt Kraska steering the ship, you guys are doing some pretty great things. So
yeah, I appreciate you saying that. But I think any great partnership goes both ways. And truthfully, again, I think I shared a little bit about my journey into Lazorpoint, and because of the decades of work and development with Culture Shock and through EOS, allowed someone like me as the head of growth who leads strategy in the marketplace, our client experience and operations, to quickly get up to speed and feel like I was a part of the team and get the right alignment early so that I can start contributing to those weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual goals that our firm is going after. So that's the first thing. And the second really since this herd was formed about a year ago, it's been, what an opportunity for Matt Kraska as our visionary, Andrew Kalori as our integrator and our COO, to be in a room with other visionaries talking in real time about problems that they're having in their business, in their organization, and having 20 visionaries trying to solve and discuss those problems is pretty powerful. And, the sessions that I've been a part of, from sales and marketing to administrative functions of the business to the integration components, being a part of a community where there's 20, 30 other businesses in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, and I know there's some organizations that extend beyond that territory, but these are manufacturers, other professional service organizations, private equity, financial services, and it's pretty powerful when you're in a room going after similar goals and really wanting to improve not just the day-to-day, but how can we be better leaders in our organization, and having leaders going through similar issues. So the herd has been a big piece of Lazorpoint's strategy, both with solving problems in the marketplace, but then also taking that back, what we're hearing, what we're learning, and making those changes in the business. So
yeah, it's been, we've had some really well-attended events. We've got over a couple hundred active clients in the small to mid-sized market space. And I would just encourage you, if you haven't yet already, take advantage of some of those. They're completely help-first offerings, us building and solving an issues list for like-minded people that are all familiar with the same operating system. It's been a privilege to have you guys as part of it. Thank you for your time, energy, and effort around it. And more to come.
More to come.
That's a wrap.
Looking forward to it. Thanks again, Ron.
Thanks, Grant. Take care.